Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my guest is Cheryl O'Curran.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Thanks for joining us, Cheryl. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
So, we're actually at the Blue Moon Coffee House in Hastings, Nebraska, and I want to always thank them for letting us use the spot. They have great coffee, and we know recently that they have great lunches.
Great sandwiches.
Yeah. So Cheryl, are you originally from Hastings?
I am not. I'm a Denver native.
Okay. So how did you get from Denver to Hastings, Nebraska? That's
My first teaching job was out in Cody, Kilgore, Nebraska, which
okay.
is way up in the north central end of the state.
Okay.
And teaching jobs just kept me moving. And
I
then
can believe that. So what did you teach?
I taught English speech and directed plays.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool. So how long did you do that?
No, sorry. I was 55 when I retired, 32 years.
That's pretty good. That's awesome. So, I would think teaching would be, so is that, you want to obviously be a teacher?
Yes,
Okay.
always.
Okay, so first dream that you did, and that was good. So we were talking today. In fact, that was about a week ago. We were talking about the
Yes.
dream that, because I was telling her about the Dreamcatcher podcast, and so the dream you have now that you are fulfilling. So what is that?
I own a costume shop and I own my own building now, and
Okay.
that was
So what took you from being a teacher to doing that dream?
as a director of plays for my students. I made an awful lot of their costumes. I've been sewing since I was 10,
Okay.
and I just really like what costumes can do for a kid,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a child or a person on stage, and how
Yeah,
they can change. And
it
I just
does.
love how they work.
Yeah, it does. I mean, usually my wife Cheryl,
Yeah.
Cheryl, dressed up for Halloween, and in fact, we didn't this past year, but the year before that, I did Dracula,
Ah,
and it does. It just feel it's which is kind of fun. But so what was the process to getting a costume shop? I mean,
well, there has been a costume shop here in
oh,
Hastings
has there?
since 1972. A woman named Lorene Andreessen
Wow,
started it with $1,000 loan from the bank.
cool.
And as she was brilliant seamstress, and as she put costumes together, she'd get a little bit more money and move along. And I met up with her mid 90s,
Okay,
and just kind of happened on her, and we got to talking and just looking at some of the stuff that she had, and we just
awesome.
visited. And she knew I was a director and what I
Mm-hmm.
did. And then one day, out of the clear blue in 2011, I just called her up because I hadn't talked to her in a
Uh-huh.
while.
Uh-huh.
She said, "Well, I'm glad you called because this was late, like October, and she said, come the end of the year, it's either in the burn pile or it's sold."
Oh, wow.
And there it was.
So that was a definite, wow, it's
Right,
good now
right,
or not at all.
right.
Wow. So do you make your own costumes or
I do an awful lot of repurposing.
okay,
Um,
okay.
Fabric and textiles are one of the biggest polluters of landfills.
I guess I could see that.
And so I haunt an awful lot of thrift stores and
Perfect.
repurpose and whatnot. I bought what she had,
Sure.
and then I do sew an awful lot as well. But I use curtains and bedspreads
I could
and
see that would be good.
yes, as
So,
much as I can. Can't
so,
always do it that
so
way.
you could do like the curtains with Carol Burnett and the old.
You betcha. Just like that. I actually made that
Did you
costume
make
for
that? That's
Beauty and the
awesome.
Beast, one of our characters, one of
Oh,
our,
that would, oh, that's
yeah.
so awesome. I mean, that is that. So do you, your area that you do costumes for, is it just local Hastings area or do you have people from
I
further away?
am all over the state.
Okay.
Right now, I have contracts for Stewart, Nebraska, which is way up north.
Wow.
I have Minden. I have Southern Valley School, which is way
Wow.
south.
Yeah.
So all over the
You
state.
really are. So do you travel to those places then, or they?
I do not.
You do not. They have
come
to.
and pick them up,
Okay, that's good.
which is good for them
Yeah.
because then they can say this is not going to work for this kid,
True.
or
That's true too.
this, so whatever. So we can swap some things out or change
Okay.
up some accessories, whatever.
Okay. And you have a store right here in Hastings. So you said it's by appointment if people want to come see
Yes.
what you have. So do you, is it just costumes or what else do you carry in your store?
Just costumes.
Just
I
costumes.
don't do
Okay.
much in the way of props. It would
Okay.
just be impossible. I don't even do shoes.
Don't you? No,
The
I can see that.
the space that it would take
Yeah,
would be
that's
impossible.
true. So, so you said the busy season is kind of starting right now.
Yes,
So,
yes.
what do you mean by the busy season on that?
This is for Nebraska competition one act play season.
Oh, really?
And it's
Okay.
a play
Okay.
of 30 minutes, three to at least minimum of three characters, and
Wow.
so schools and it's competition, and just like a basketball team or anything else, they pack up their play, their costumes, their
Really?
sets, and they go all over to different competitions.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Wow, that's so
Yes.
cool. So, so did you ever be part of that?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's
Okay.
how I
Oh, that
really this was the basis of my
kind of getting.
of yeah, getting my foot in the door, because I made costumes for my students as we traveled, and everybody knew that Cheryl made those
Sure.
costumes. And so when I opened a shop, and they were, it was just, I took a big load off of directors, because as directors we were expected to do it
Oh,
all.
yeah, I could see that. So, and I can tell you're well known because just the local area, I've brought up your name and it's like, oh, I know her, you
Right.
know, and I think that is so cool. So, so with what you have now, is there something, another area you'd like to go expand into with dealing with that?
What I would like to do, and this has always been a little piece of the dream, is work with individuals that are mobility challenged.
Oh, wow.
And because dressing up just makes you feel
Yes,
bigger,
it does.
stronger,
It's just fun.
and everything else, and
Yep.
just let you get out of yourself for a while.
Yes.
And so many costumes are, if for example someone is wheelchair bound, they're kind of sitting on their costume, but if their wheelchair could be the Batmobile or
Yeah, I see
something
what-
like that,
Yeah,
then that would be
it'd be
an
so.
extension.
And they would just be beaming too. I mean, that
Right,
would be
if that's
just.
what they wanted.
Yeah, I think that is so cool. So do you do a lot of costume rental for Halloween, anything like that, or
I
is
do
that kind of some?
it's-
Okay,
and I don't do kids,
Okay.
like children's and all, because kids like to own their costumes.
true.
I mean, I remember my son wore his homemade
Yeah,
Ninja Turtle costume every day to kindergarten.
that does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what they want, and that's what they should have. And
I love that.
but adults, when there's parties and
Yeah,
like a grandma's going to take her grandkids out, they'll dress
that's
up.
cool. No, and I think that is so neat because because you do when you get dressed up as a kid, you're kind of enabling that to still continue on later on in life, where
Absolutely.
most people think they shouldn't be, childish or anything like that. So I think that is so cool. I think a lot of people would maybe capture dreams more if they still had that mindset later in life. So, so okay. So what else? Other dreams you have that you haven't done yet?
Not, I would say not big like that. A generic is to travel.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yep.
My next goal piece of this dream is to be out by I'm 70.
Okay.
I will
Cool.
have had it for a lot of years then, and I'm 65 now.
Awesome.
And then at that point, to just be able to pick up, I would like to see New England in the fall.
No, yeah.
This is my busy
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and seeing New England in the fall
Not
doesn't
gonna-
quite work yet,
No, that's
but
true.
it will.
No, and I have no doubt it will. I mean,
It will.
it will. Just that's what you say. Where people say some days. It's like, no, that's too vague. So you kind of need a date and a time on that. So that is so neat. I mean, it's just, so have you ever thought about doing a podcast with what you do?
I do not. I don't have time.
That's true.
I don't
One on the
have time.
fly.
I don't have time.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So in your downtime, when you're not doing so much, what do you do then? Just probably.
Mending.
I can see that. Yeah, all the stuff getting ready for another season. Yeah.
Right. No, but beyond that, I was an English teacher and I love to read, and so of course I
Okay.
still read. I love to go to plays. I love
Yeah.
to be involved in theater from the other end as an audience member, and
Yep.
I love to be on stage. And so when
Okay.
it's not my busy time, I can do.
Good. Yeah. So, have you ever been to Broadway?
I have not.
Okay, I haven't either.
So that actually is a dream. to
I was
actually
going to
see
say
a
I could
show on-
definitely.
a bigger dream. I don't know if that's bigger.
Mhm.
Another one along that line is to see a Shakespeare play in London.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I want.
Yeah, that'd be epic. That's for sure. So, no, I mean, and that's so many people, because my wife loves to go to plays too. And it's just, I mean, lead and, we're just
Uh-huh.
wherever, or him and stuff like that. Because I think we saw Wicked down there. And it's just, people who don't do that are missing out on such an experience. I mean, it's not like a movie, you know, it's
Oh
just
no.
so different than that. And now my wife would never want to be on the stage, but she sure likes doing the others.
I
So
like being on stage too.
no, so traveling. So London, any other place? We talked about that your son is in Japan.
I have one son in
So,
Japan, so I've been there. And when he lived in Beijing, I went to
oh
see
wow,
him.
he
He
was
didn't
in.
live in Beijing. He lived um, in Weifeng, China. But I met him in Beijing, and we
Okay.
traveled him and my.
So how was that to go to China? Was that what you thought it'd be like?
You have to go with a group.
I could see that.
China, you really don't have the freedom to wander the country.
I could see that too.
And so I took my mom, and we had a great time. We saw wonderful sights, walked on the Great Wall.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh wow.
Went to Shanghai, just saw some wonderful things.
Did you feel the presence of people like security or I mean I don't know you know what it'd be like. You did, okay.
Yes, there was definitely. We walked Tiananmen Square.
Oh,
And that was
I could see that be there, yeah.
right. So there was you can feel that.
No, that is amazing. So I got to ask before I forget, because with the Dreamcatcher podcast, I always ask, what was your dream or dreams when you were growing up as a child? What did you want to be?
Oh, I always wanted to be a teacher.
Did you really?
Always,
Awesome.
always. So
Cool.
me being a teacher was not so much fulfillment of the dream as just this was just the next step in
You
my
just
life.
knew that was what it was going to be.
That was it. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that. So, because I mean, I've only had one person that didn't have a dream when they were growing up, and I don't know if they didn't
Oh.
remember or not. And had another lady that said she was to be safe. That was her dream, and it's like it kind of threw me on that. I mean, that
Well,
is
dreams are things that you have control over. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have total control of your own safety.
True.
You can take steps and measures, but
Yes.
you can't dream for someone else.
No, you cannot. No. But that one definitely threw me. But after she told me her background, I could see why that
Okay.
was. So, so have you ever thought about, do you like writing?
Writing.
Yeah, like a book or just writing or journaling?
My challenge for myself this year
Okay.
was because I found a beautiful journal when I was in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
To write a haiku,
Oh, really?
575,
Okay.
9 poem
Okay.
every day, and I have managed to do that so far.
Awesome.
But I do write.
Okay.
I don't, per se publish or anything like that, but I love to do things that are public speaking. I was League of Women Voters. We had a
Really?
forum.
Okay.
I'm forum monitor, that kind of thing. So
Cool. I mean, that is so cool. So would you ever publish those? If somebody's like, they would do it
I
for
would
you?
maybe publish some of them,
Okay.
because
Okay.
some it's like some days
Yeah,
I
sometimes.
can't sew. Some days
I
I
can still
cannot
write.
sew.
Yeah, it's like sometimes writing. Some days comes writing very rarely does it come easy to me, but some days it does, and it
Right.
just flows. So, so do you meditate and stuff like that?
I do not.
Okay,
I ride my bicycle. I walk.
it's kind of a
It's
meditation.
but it's not
Walking.
what I would say that I sit down and I'm just going to
I
think.
can't do
just
that.
clear my mind. Yeah.
My mind
No.
doesn't do that. It just
No.
gets all busy, and it's
It's
like all these
this.
things I need to be doing.
Yep.
So no, I tell everybody I do. I kind of like out in nature and stuff like that. So so what else do we need to know about Cheryl?
I don't even know. You tell me. What do you want to know? I've got kids, grandkids.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
got-
about your family would be great. So
Yeah.
grandkids close by.
I have one grandson here in town. He's a junior at Hastings High,
Cool.
and he is in plays, and
That's cool.
it's really a lot of fun. I have 2 kids here in town. Landon's dad is here in town,
Mhm.
and I have a daughter named Shauna. She's here in town as well.
Okay.
I have my son in Japan. He's Seth. I have my firstborn son is out in not in Atlanta, but out near
Oh,
there,
in that area.
Georgia.
Okay.
And then my youngest child, is a teacher of English in Baltimore.
Oh wow! So
And she's got 2 little ones.
Oh, that is so sweet. So English kind of rubbed off then on.
Oh yeah.
So with English, because I mean I remember reading books and then writing. Is that kind of what the way yours was over in Hastings there, or is that? I mean, or did you learn like how to write?
we learned how to write,
Okay.
and I cannot say that I was a great writing teacher, although I could teach kids to write really great speeches, which is essentially the same thing, but at the time it didn't feel like it, but it was. But I really taught, I hope, I taught them how to analyze a piece of literature, how to look at something and say,
Nice.
this is what we're talking about.
Okay. That's worth a lot. Because I think so many kids don't write. You know, they don't do any of that stuff anymore. And so because if I wanted to write a book or something, right, how would you have me start? I mean, or do what you were.
I would not know how to tell you how to start, but I would
Okay.
definitely, if your goal is to write, if your dream is to write, then you write.
Okay.
You know, and that crazy line from Whoopi Goldberg,
Uh-huh.
Sister Act.
Oh,
He
yes.
said, if your goal is to sing, if you were meant to be a singer, then you sing. If you want to be a writer, then you write.
It's true. And that's
And
good advice, a good wisdom too.
if you want to be a
So,
painter, you paint. You're not ever going to be a painter if you don't own
yeah,
at least
kind of go through to get to
something to put color onto a medium of some kind.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I've been told I should write a book. And
but there are writing clubs, you know,
Okay.
even here in town.
Because when they like, I have problems in journaling. Getting a book out of me would be, but then I talked to a gal the other day with this podcast, and she had not, now she's like on book 7. She's just like, this is much more than I thought I was, It's like, well, maybe on that. So,
I have
no.
a couple of published author friends. One in St. Paul, she's written 80 plus books. Well published author.
Wow. I
Yeah.
can't even, I don't know. And like my wife said, she said it might be until you try, you don't know, it might be your
Right.
favorite thing.
Right.
So, I mean, so what do you do for hobbies? You probably don't have time for hobbies.
Well, when your hobby is your dream and your dream keeps you happy,
It's a win-win.
your hobbies are doing. Yeah. My hobbies, I love to sew.
Okay.
That has been a given, and my mom once said that I was one of the few people she knew that had
Really
2 professions that you just loved, and I love teaching, and I love
that's
doing
worth
the costuming.
it's worth a lot because some people never have
Right,
something
right.
they love. That's for sure. So, so would you ever leave Hastings? Would you ever want to leave?
Not necessarily. No, I mean that is not to move away. There's reasons for me to stay that are.
And I could see that with family and stuff like
Yeah.
that too. So, so with kids, we were talking earlier about my aunt and kids. So, why do you think? I mean, not all kids, but there's a lot of kids that are lost. I don't know what it is. What do you think maybe is causing kids to? Well, I did a podcast the other day, and they said that, and it was fact that the number 5th cause in the United States of young kids is suicide, which is like the gal said, these are babies, and that why would you think that kids would be taking their life at that age? I mean, I have my opinions or my ideas, but.
And I would have my opinions and my ideas too, so I don't know that I would have anything factual, but I think suicide in general, I think sometimes comes down to not being heard, not being listened to,
I think so too.
and not knowing how to express what it is without someone saying, what are you trying to get to?
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is by communicating, and that means everybody, both sides of a table have to communicate.
True. No, that is. I mean, she floored me with that figure. I mean, and she was in Raleigh, North Carolina. Actually, was doing an event to make people wear, and in North Carolina, it's number 2, and it's like
it is frightening.
It is. It's like that's our future, and she said that North Carolina had studied these kids, and the ones that were the suspect, or leaning towards that, and they had PTSD symptoms, and it's like, this gal said that she said the kids thought they saw no positives in the world anymore. And I hope my podcast, I'm doing what you're doing, bringing that. But it's just, I would have never thought of that as a kid, even crossed my mind. So it wouldn't cross my mind now. But so what's next with the acting? I mean, would you ever be on stage like kind of like big theater in the city?
Oh, if I had a chance to do it, I'd do it.
Would you? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Is there any particular city? I mean, would you want to be in New York?
No, not necessarily. Because first of all, I wouldn't want to live there.
Well, I wouldn't either.
I mean, it just
no,
wouldn't.
visit would be fine, but yeah.
But there are characters that I would love to play.
Okay.
years ago, even right here in Hastings, I played the character of Vivian Baring in a play called Wit.
Okay.
And it's a woman in the final stages of ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she was a John Donne scholar,
Uh-huh.
and it's just, God, I would do that again. Small stage, big stage.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not too long ago in Kearney, I played, well, in 2024, or 2024 years ago, I played Ethel Thayer from on Golden Pond.
Oh,
And I
wow.
would play that role again.
I could see that would be a good character to play.
So yeah, and it would be not just so much to be on a stage in a big place, but to be the character of my choosing.
Yeah, I can see that. So do you ever get stage fright?
Stage fright?
Yeah,
No.
I can't.
I mean, I think every actor before they go on gets that.
That I can believe. Yeah,
that's what I think puts it all together for you. I mean, it's like an athlete going into a game.
True.
You get
you
tapped. Now you're in.
Yeah. It just
you go from bench to
it's go time.
Yeah.
So, are there any plays that you would really like to play a part in, or a particular part?
I would love to play Lady Macbeth.
Okay.
I haven't really thought about that lately because my big one was Ethel Thayer. I always wanted to do that, and then when Kearney Community Theater was doing that show,
so awesome. So we were talking about Shakespeare stuff. You must like Shakespeare.
I do.
Okay. So do you have a particular play you like?
Oh, I love the intricacies of Hamlet.
Mm-hmm.
I love the histories of Julius Caesar. And when I taught that with sophomores, I always made sure that I coordinated with the world history teacher so that the things that we can talk about the history. And because the play is, not 100% accurate, but what was happening was, accurate, that kind of stuff. So,
so did the kids resonate with Shakespeare? I actually liked Shakespeare when I was in high school. I still do.
If you were to just, even when they did it to me, handed me this script of Shakespeare, this book of Shakespeare, read it, understand it, there will be a quiz.
You'd be.
I can't say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult, and it's a huge turnoff.
Yep.
Shakespeare plays are meant to be seen.
Yep.
Or heard.
True.
They were not ever written down in a book for the public until, later.
Okay.
And
I didn't even realize that. Okay, that's interesting. So, and I liked it because this school in Minden had like a thing that was divided. We had original and then it had kind of today's. And,
yes.
And it's like, I really look forward to that. And I thought, I'm surprised I like this. So, and I love reading. So favorite author or authors?
I guess I'd probably go more by books.
Okay.
My favorite all-time book is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, really? That's cool. Yes.
Teach it. I would teach it 4 times a day, because I'd have 4 sections of sophomores or whatever.
Yes.
I could do that one, even still.
Okay. That's cool. And I see that's on the banned book thing. And
of course it is.
It's like, why? Because I remember reading that, and I like that too in high school. And it's just like, I don't understand a lot of the banned books. I don't understand that period. I mean, I thought in the United States we kind of didn't do that. So,
yeah.
But we seem to do that, and that's when I just can't figure out.
And some of those keep coming around, and part of that is it does have the N word in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not in any way, shape, or form. Harper Lee did not glorify that in any way. She said, and has Atticus say, that'll be every person in the world except one using that word, because you won't.
Yes.
And that's what it means. That's what you're doing, and it's not right.
And it was of the era. That word was very prevalent. And
still wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And moving along.
Yes.
And people calling it out, and that's how time changes. And how.
But it just surprises me when we're next to a bookstore, and it just reminds me. I'm just amazed how many books that I read when I was a kid are on that list, and it just I don't know. Society's interesting how it evolves and stuff like that. So, well, Cheryl, before we end the podcast, what else would you like to tell the audience? Anything that is a wisdom there, going forward?
I'm going to go back to my dream. And
Good.
I did not know that this was like so deeply rooted in me because
Okay.
I've not really talked about it with anybody. It was not one of those things that
Right.
I brought up constantly until I was sitting in a teacher in service and
Okay.
the gal walking around MK Mueller from the 8 to Great um, program tapped me, was walking around, said, if money were no object, what would you do? And she
Yes.
ended up, she's behind me, tapped me on the shoulder. I didn't even think and said, I'd own a costume shop. And that was the first time I said those words out loud.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's as genuine as it gets when it comes without thinking.
Boom.
So,
there it was. And so I would say, if someone were to tap you on the shoulder and say, if money were no object, what would you do?
Yes.
And
so that is what comes out of your mouth. It's probably going to be what you
comes to
really,
head
that's
is-
coming right out of your,
from your heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
might have to start doing that with people. So
It's an interesting thought.
I hope I don't get hit sometime.
Right.
It's like, I don't know you.
I don't know him.
So
But you never know.
no, you don't. But that is great wisdom. And I love that. And I'm glad that's awesome that came out too.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you went after it and did that.
Oh my
too.
goodness. It was, and how the whole buying the building and not even the building, but how buying the business was.
Yeah. Yeah, you took the action because people have the dreams, but they don't ever do the steps it takes. Because there's definitely a journey with all that in any dream.
And
That's
it's
for sure.
frightening. And when
It
bank
is.
after bank after bank says
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no.
Then you start thinking it's like, well, maybe, and it's like you cannot. It has to become non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Some days you
Exactly.
wonder if it. Yeah.
Right.
So, but well, Cheryl, thank you for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast, and
Thank you. Yeah.
I have to come over and check your shop out sometime and see
Absolutely.
what that is like. So, I might have to thank my Cheryl, and we haven't figured out what we're going to do for Halloween yet, so I might get some inspiration there. So,
All right.
but anyway, thank you again, and you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.